For everything I say about Weyland and it being mostly ready to use, I want to be very clear that X11 is still going to be with us for the foreseeable future, and I don't just mean for desktops like XFCE, Cinnamon, Budgie, and all of the other DEs that only support X11, let alone all of the X window managers, but also for things like NVIDIA. NVIDIA is getting better and better on Weyland, but it's still not perfect, and especially for those users who've been burnt multiple times, a lot of people are fairly wary about trying Weyland again, and we definitely can't forget X Weyland. This is going to be around for a very long time. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if it just sticks around forever into the future, but no matter what you want to believe about X11 and Xorg, it's an objective fact that Xorg development is basically at its lowest pace since around the start of the project when it forked off of X386, and for many years now has just been declining. And it's not because there's nothing to work on, there are a ton of open issues. The problem is there is a slowly declining interest in actually maintaining the project. This isn't a matter of whether it's a good or a bad thing this is happening, it just is what it is. But it's very important to keep in mind that while Weyland is a part of Free Desktop, a lot of the Weyland development is done under the banner of the Xorg Foundation. And right now, the Xorg Foundation has just a tiny little bit of a problem. So back on March 13th, Ricardo Garcia sent out 2 emails to the Xorg Devel mailing list. The first one being 2023 Xorg Foundation membership deadline for voting in the election, and the second one being 2023 Xorg Board of Directors elections nomination period is now. It is that time once again for new people to join the Xorg Board of Directors, and nominating yourself or nominating another person was pretty straightforward. This is a reminder that the nomination period for the Xorg Board of Director elections finishes in a week, on March 19th. There's a reason why we're talking about this now though. If you would like to nominate yourself, please send an email to the election committee, elections@Xorg, giving your name, current professional affiliation, a statement of contribution to Xorg or related technologies, and a personal statement. To vote or to be elected to the board, you need to be a member of the Xorg Foundation. To be a member of the Xorg Foundation, you need to apply or renew your membership until the end of the nomination period. So even if you weren't a member of the Xorg Foundation, you could still go and become a member, and if you're a suitable person to, be in that position, you can enter the nomination. And from a separate email, a director is expected to participate in fortnightly IRC meetings to discuss current business and to attend the annual meeting of the Xorg Foundation, which will be held at a location determined in advance by the board of directors. So it seems like, a pretty easy job if Xorg is incredibly important and you want to see it, thriving into the future. And getting involved seemed like a pretty simple process. And then, just before the nomination ended, another email was sent out saying this right here: reminder, only 2 days left to nominate candidates for the 2023 Xorg Board of Directors election. Further reminder that the nomination period for the Xorg Board of Director elections finishes in only 2 days, on March 19th. Please send your nominations or self-nominations as soon as possible, following the instructions below. Thanks again for your attention. And this year, there's actually 4 open spots. So if you're the kind of person who wants to get involved in the Xorg Foundation, get involved in running all this stuff, this seems like a great time to do it. Now, I'm gonna butcher their names, so I apologize for this. If anyone involved in this happens to hear it, please correct me. But the terms of Samuel Iglesias Gonçalves, Manassi de Navarre, I'm gonna say, Lude Paul, and Daniel Vetter are all expiring this year. And given what I see in my comment section, in the Phoronix comment section, in the comment sections of other people's channels, in the comment sections of various subreddits, it seems like it'd be pretty easy to fill up these board of director slots. It seems like there would always be people that are really excited in getting involved and always want the best people running the Xorg board of directors. at a bare minimum, there should be enough people to hold an election. If that's what you thought, well, you'd sadly be wrong. The reason we're talking about this now is because of an email sent out after the end of the nomination period. 2023 Xorg Board of Directors Elections Timeline Extended Request for Nominations. We are seeking nominations for candidates for election to the Xorg Foundation Board of Directors. However, as we presently do not have enough nominations to start the election, the decision has been made to extend the timeline by 2 weeks. Note, this is a fairly regular part of the election process. Now, when he says this is a fairly regular part of the election process, that's not an exaggeration. There have been multiple times throughout the Xorg Foundation's history where the election basically was just about to not happen. So all the way back in 2012, they barely had enough people voting to hold the election. So they need a minimum of 25% participation. That year, they had 40 of the 144 members. That comes out to 27.77%. If a couple of people decided that year they just didn't want to vote, I don't know what they would have done. Maybe they would have held the election again? I'm really not sure. But I don't know why you'd be a member of the Xorg Foundation if you don't care about voting in, the elections they have. Like, that'd be like being a member of Debian and not getting involved in their elections. Maybe the idea is a lot of people are just giving them money and they don't really care about how it's managed. But it still seems like that is a really, really low turnout. This was also way back when Keith Packard was still on the board, a much, much healthier time for the project. Following this, a couple of years later in 2014, they had a similar issue to what we're seeing now. They had 4 seats open, much like we do now. The thing is, they actually had enough people. They had enough people. Not they had enough for an election, they had 4 people for 4 seats. So, if they're qualified for the job, basically, you have the job now. And even years where there's enough people to actually hold an election, voting, and some of the people are not going to win, in a lot of those years, there are just barely enough people to make this actually work. 2017, they had 4 seats open and they had 5 people competing for those seats. It's not a great election. It's not like, a bunch of people are going to lose, but at least the voting this year makes a bit of sense. As it currently stands for this year, the nominations, membership applications or renewals, and completed personal statements must be received no later than 23:59 UTC on April 2nd, 2023. It's probably a good idea to not end it on April 1st. I completely understand why they did that. It's a Saturday, I think? Maybe. Doesn't matter. The important thing is, technically, as I said earlier, if you are not a member of the Xorg Foundation right now and you want to run for the board of directors and, you actually have the qualifications to do the job, you've gotten involved in Xorg and you want to see the project, healthy into the future, all that fun stuff, you can, right now, go and join the Xorg Foundation, nominate yourself for the Xorg board of directors, and actually have a chance of winning, because there is a very high possibility that there will be just enough people this year. Maybe some of the people that were going to be stepping down will renominate themselves or something like that. I don't actually know how it's going to be handled if they just don't have enough people. Whether they shrink the board, ask the people to stay back on, just do nothing and just have less people on the board. I don't actually know what the procedure is there, because every year there needed to be an election. An election has happened. This, from my understanding, is the first time it's been this bad. But if you have no interest in joining the board, but still want to be a voting member in this election, the deadline is a little bit later. The slate of candidates will be published April 10th, 2023, and candidate Q&A will begin then. The deadline for Xorg membership applications and renewals is April 9th, 2023. After the election happens, if the election happens, honestly, I might have to follow up about this just to see what happens. If they don't happen to have enough members, I really want to know what's actually going on. And I'm sure there's going to be an article from Phoronix, or it's going to float around r/Linux or something like that. So even if I forget about it, I'm probably going to be reminded, and there's probably going to be comments here after the date ends anyway, just letting me know what's happened. But we'll see what happens, and as I said, if you are interested in the future of the Xorg Foundation, do go and get involved. That's not me saying go and troll the Xorg Foundation, anything like that, but if you legitimately want to get involved with the Xorg Foundation, go and join the board of directors, go and get involved in the Xorg project. If you want Xorg to be healthy into the future, just do something involving the project, and hopefully it's useful for as long as it needs to be useful. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you run Xorg? Do you run Weyland? Are you a member of the Xorg Foundation? I would love to know. So if you like this video, go and like the video, and if you really like the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon, Scribe, Stelly Bearer Pay, linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and I'm running Hyperland.